to be. It should be live. Yeah.
There's two people staring intently at a screen, so hopefully we're live.
And now I'm going to check also here.
I'm going to play it on YouTube while we're doing the show through the speakers.
Just to make sure that everything is working.
We can do a podcast like we're the band The Books, just a bunch of random noise and weird rhythm. Do a podcast like we're the band The Books.
Okay, we're live.
Good. I'm glad we're all here.
All right.
I'm ready.
Tell your friends you're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're live. Well, I guess we're always live, but now me and Nathan are in the same room together.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yep. We're near each other.
We can high five.
Yes. It's a tradition.
I think we did this for that in District 9. That was the last time we had a live podcast.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
At least here, or did we ever do one when you came to visit?
No, we did
me?
one in Iowa.
Okay, so yeah, we must have done something there.
I was sitting in the chair kind of sideways in that one.
And tonight we have another very special episode. We have the 1978 movie, The Silent Partner. Nathan, do you have the history of this movie, or did you even know?
You told me about it last week, and then I watched it. That was my history. I knew nothing about this movie.
Yeah, this is another Action Boys podcast, and I was like, wait, what's this movie? And it sounds kind of neat, so I was like, I might as well watch it because I did the same thing for Knight Riders, and you seem to like that. So
yeah, oh yeah. No, I enjoyed this one too. This is definitely what I'd call like it's a 70s, like late 70s thriller.
Yeah.
And instead of Toronto standing in for New York like they usually do these, Toronto was Toronto for a change. And it worked out pretty good.
I mean, I don't think ultimately, but it's a good movie. So.
Yeah, I mean, for a movie of its time, it was.
Well, it was like because I don't think it had any financial success, but it was like, or except in Canada, it did pretty well, and then it had some critical success all around. Like even Ebert and Siskel gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
Although I think Siskel said it was predictable, which I don't feel it was. But
yeah, I don't think it was predictable. I mean, maybe story wise, but the acting in it was so good. It's like, okay, where is this going?
Well, I do. Well, actually, the thing of I guess the fun thing of this movie, I don't know if you did the same thing, is that like I do underestimate the character because a lot of these movies of like it's like a put upon schlub who just ends up in the middle of like a bank robbery thing and doesn't know how to handle it. And this is kind of the opposite of that, where it's like he gets put in the middle of a bank robbery, but actually handles it quite well. And so you don't actually expect him to be like as clever as he is, like constantly throughout the movie. So.
Yeah, he seems like a very observant guy and a sort of a devious thinker.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course that's Elliot Gould as Miles Cullen.
Yeah.
Or as Cullen, as everyone calls him at the bank, because everyone calls everyone by their last name in this movie.
Yeah.
For some reason. Except the women. I think the women are called by their first names, but all the men are addressed by their last name.
I think I think that was called because I didn't learn like the head of the bank's name was like Charles something. I didn't learn that until like halfway through the movie because I was like looking it up. Because on Internet Movie Database, how they list the cast is not well. So
no.
Oh wait, no, I was playing on Amazon, and sometimes they do that fun thing where if an actor's in a scene, it lists the actors in the scene.
Okay.
This one, it just has the list there the entire time. It's just the whole cast list, and it's not dynamic to the scene. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It was only a rental on Amazon. I don't know how you watched it.
Same thing.
Okay. This is like because this is like a Corelco joint, which as we know from other movies we've done of theirs, they have not done well following up on their thing. So like the audio for me, I don't know if was audio bad for you.
No, it seemed pretty. I was watching on my big TV. It seemed
Okay.
pretty smooth.
Okay. I was watching on my laptop, so the audio seemed kind of very low for me, but that could have been something with my laptop. So
Okay.
but yeah, we watched Extreme Prejudice, and that was like a terrible, like somebody just grabbed it off a VHS transfer and threw it up on Amazon. Although this didn't look bad or anything like that. It didn't look like a remaster or anything, but it was fine. But you know, like it was late 70s movie, so it's like around that time the film tech was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, you know, like it's around the same time as Apocalypse Now. It's around the same time as Alien. So well, it's 78 when it got released in the UK and in Toronto specifically, and then it got released in March in the United States in 79, but I just called it a 78 movie. So
yeah. Yeah, this movie was one of the first movies made with the now famous like Canadian film credits.
Yeah,
this was one of the earlier movies made under that system. It's like, yeah, shoot your film here and hire mostly actors and crew from here, and you don't have to pay any taxes, and, which is now like standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't know Christopher Plummer was Canadian, so
no. I didn't know that either. Christopher Plummer has always been like, what was my Christopher Plummer? Like Colonel Chang from the Undiscovered Country. Okay. Like that's what I think of Christopher Plummer. That's who I think of. He's done a lot of stuff though.
And what was it? Yeah, but also Elliot Gould did a lot of like, he did a lot of like thriller stuff around this time. Because was it The Long Goodbye? Where he was like a detective.
I think so. Yeah.
There's like a famous poster of that movie where he's like standing with a gun on a beach. So, I think it's a Robert Altman movie too. So, yeah, Elliot Gould, kind of an unconventional lead actor, but like he got a bunch of leading roles around this time. So,
remember him? I first saw him in the MASH movie.
Yeah.
And then he played Philip Marlowe. Yeah, in The Long Goodbye. Okay. But I always remember him as playing like a vaguely neurotic kind of a low-key lead man.
Yeah.
That was always his thing. Like he's probably smarter than what he seems. And he's also kind of got some mental problems maybe.
Who's the guy? Who's the guy that was in The Graduate? I always forget his name. Is it something Norman? I can't remember.
Oh, you mean guy from Rain Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do I actually saw him in real life once. What's his name? Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman. He seems like Dustin Hoffman, but way taller.
Yeah.
Also, he has kind of like, he has this weird voice where it's like deep, but it's also kind of like has a lisp to it. So he almost sounds like Bugs Bunny doing an Elmer Fudd impression.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, also later in life, he seemed to do a lot of comedies and stuff too. So
yeah, he was kind of a 70s and 80s unconventional leading man, but he's been in a lot of movies.
Oh yeah, he's basically a character actor.
I think he changed as time went on, but yeah, he did. I
remember like one of his last big ones. He was in the Ocean's 11 movies. He was like kind of the guy that bankrolled the heist usually.
I thought he was. See, he reminds me of a lot of different guys that I put together. Because I always thought he was the guy. For a long time, I thought it was like, it's Elliot Gould was the guy that Tom Cruise was taking care of in Eyes Wide Shut. When the girl overdosed at the party, but now it's a completely different guy.
Yeah.
But they all seem kind of the same. They all have that kind of same verve to them. That semi-neurotic verve.
Oh, was that him or is that Sidney Pollack?
It was Sidney Pollack.
Okay. Oh, you're saying he has the same? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I said they have the same kind of vibe to him.
Oh, he's from New York. Makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. It's that whole accent. Yeah, I describe Elliot Gould as like, imagine if Adam Carolla was from New York instead, but it was kind of the same quality of deep voice, but kind of a high when excitement comes, it kind of gets this high angle to it.
Yeah.
Instead of a West Coast, imagine New York. The same exact voice. It's just Elliot Gould is from New York. Oh, it's not his actual name. His real birth name's Elliot Goldstein. Okay.
That makes sense. A lot of Jewish actors would take the Jewishness out of their name to get cast in more stuff, which is weird. So.
Well, there was a time, I guess, when that was.
Well, yeah.
How far away were they from blacklisting when his career started?
He's born in 38, so
yeah.
So he's 20 and 58. So
yeah, so not too little. Yeah, there might be real reasons. Also, everyone wants a cool name.
Yeah.
Because Tom Cruise wasn't Jewish, but that name Tom Cruise sounds a lot cooler than his real name. So
and it's not just Elliot Gould; it's Gould.
Yeah, Gould.
And it's Elliot with 2 T's, which I don't know if that's how you normally spell it or if that's a little flourish.
Yeah, so those are the only 2 actors other than John Candy that I recognize from this movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it came out November 3rd, 1978 in Toronto in Canada. Director's Daryl Duke, who was like a TV guy essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is kind of like maybe his biggest movie.
When I looked up his like history, this kept coming up. So it's like, okay, this is it. And then a bunch of TV stuff.
And on Intermovie Database, they list Curtis Hanson as like another director, but really he just directed some of the reshoots because Daryl Duke left the project because he didn't want to do the reshoots.
Oh, okay.
So like the beheading scene was something that was added, and he refused to shoot. So
now I do, knowing nothing about this movie, I do remember someone talking once about a scene where Christopher Plummer beheads a woman in a fish tank. And I was like, this is, and then I saw that and I was like, oh, that's horrible. And it's like, I've heard of this scene. This is an infamous scene. It's too bad the director was like not credited for that because.
I mean, he still got credit for the movie. It's just like Intermovie Database says like it tosses Curtis Hanson on, who seemed to be kind of like a producer on the project and the writer of this because he wrote the screenplay for this. This is based on like a Dutch thriller novel.
Yes, Think of a Number by Anders Bodelson. Yes, it was called Dutch New Wave Crime novels. I looked it up as it's like because to this day all kinds of stuff comes from that part of the world that translates pretty well over here.
Yeah.
Because it's it's all the crime and cop stuff and tense thrillers like that works in almost any country.
Yeah. I
don't think like you could be from North Korea and have that translate very well. Because what's the tension and like what we're gonna eat today? So sorry to our North Korean fans who are not allowed to watch the internet.
Cinematographer is Billy Williams, who kind of just Canadian guy. He did some big things like On Golden Pond was one of his big ones. So
yeah.
Well, actually, he was a UK cinematographer. So Canada, UK, they have a shared history and resources. So it was written by Andrew. Yeah, he's just Andrew Bodelson. He did the novel, and the screenplay was done by Curtis Hanson, who I believe is also a producer on this. He tried to get to be a director, but then he was not chosen, and ended up ironically. He said reluctantly directing the scenes because the other producers wanted that beheading scene in there, so he put it.
Okay.
And the cast is Elliot Gould, Christopher Plummer, and Susanna York. Even though John Candy's in there, he has a very bit role.
You just recognize him. It's like, hey, John Candy.
Yeah, I thought like, oh man, I thought he showed up and I was like, oh, is he gonna disappear? But because I didn't think he was a bank teller at first, I thought he was just like a customer, like you're never gonna see him again.
But he does not have a first name at all.
No,
he's only credited as Simonson. So.
And then I don't know, what is it? SCTV, was that the thing that he was on?
I think so.
Was that around this time? I'd never seen SCTV before.
Probably.
Okay.
It seems like it would be in that era of the mid to late 70s. So yeah.
Because do you know about SCTV?
Well, I know it's like Second City. It's like sketch comedy.
Well, I don't think it's Second City, is it? I think that was a pure Canadian thing.
Oh.
It would make sense because it's SC.
Yeah, that's what I
Second.
thought it was.
Oh, the Toronto branch of Second City. Okay,
Okay.
it is a part of it, but yeah, SCTV was because they had what's the other guy? Oh, he's like the dad in the American Pie movies.
Oh, why can't I think? Another guy who reminds me of Elliot Gould. Yeah, we'll figure it out here in a second. Yes, he was the cast member of the Second City Television.
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy, yep.
That was another person from there.
Okay. Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, so what's the time period for SCTV?
Let's see. NBC picked it up in 1981, but Edmonton.
Okay, so look like it came after this, but it was going,
yeah,
but it's soon after this.
He was known in the comedy scene because he was on like some of these comedy shows in the mid to early 70s. Can't believe how long John Candy's been dead. He's like the year after I graduated high school.
Yeah. We had well, now I forget his name. Tommy Boy.
Farley?
Yeah, Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, yeah.
He's kind of a substitute until he tragically died as well. So. And also had that's a weird parallels where it's like John Candy, like after his death, it was like what, Wagons East or something like that. It was completed after his death. And then like for Chris Farley, it was another kind of like that era movie completed after his death.
There was some weird stuff with that.
Yeah, I don't know if like John Belushi had anything like that. Or is that Jim? Wait, which is the good Belushi?
Well, they're both good. One died very young. One died of a drug
speedball
thing. And according to Bill Murray, it's like John Belushi was not a crazed out drug guy like they portray him.
Oh, okay.
He occasionally used drugs, but he didn't use drugs because I guess there was some interview he was doing. I think it was with Rogan. And yeah, Bill Murray said something about, I think they framed Nixon. He's like, what? Why do you think that? He goes, because the same SOB that did the Watergate stuff wrote the biography of John Belushi, and he goes, I know he got everything wrong because he was a close personal friend of mine. He said, yeah, he played around with drugs and it scared the crap out of him, and he didn't like it. And there was a lot of pressure to be cool and use drugs. Well, this is what Bill Murray's saying. This Bill Murray's said a lot of weird things. But yeah, I like some of his weirdness, though.
Wait,
I thought it was funny when like Bill Murray's like, yeah, Bob Woodward's a liar, and Nixon's an innocent. It's like, what? Wait a minute.
So I guess we'll get into it, being that we don't have a lot of personal history of this movie.
No.
Yeah, Act 1, it's Christmas time at the mall, so that's you have to. It's packed. There's a bunch of Santas around, which I'm not sure if that's confusing to kids or not, but yeah, I don't know. This is Toronto, so I know none of these places, but this is a big mall, so
yeah, they have like big stuff there. Toronto, I think, is Canada's. Is that their largest city?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toronto, and then I think the next biggest one is Vancouver.
Okay.
And then whatever they got going on in the French part.
Quebec.
Yeah. Yeah, because of Quebec City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wrote they closed the banks at Christmas, but this isn't Christmas time. But yeah, they're about to close the bank. We have Miles Cullen, played by Elliot Gould. He's trying to ask out a coworker, but she says she's busy, which just becomes a weird, why she's busy becomes even weirder. He's messing around with the carbon copy papers to make doodles, which is something young people would have no idea about. But before you go to a bank and you'd write out your deposit, whether you're deposit something or whether you're what do you call it when you withdraw? Yeah, withdrawing something. And there'd be a piece of paper, and there'd be another piece of paper underneath, and wedged in between is a carbon piece of paper that that copies everything you write on the top paper to the bottom paper, and you keep the bottom part, and the bank keeps the top part. They don't need this. They don't use this anymore because basically everything's digital, or they print out multiple copies from a tiny printer. So
they take pictures of it. Yeah.
yeah.
At my bank, you do fill out a physical piece of paper, but then they just slide it under a thing with your driver's license and or your card, and it's like beep beep, and then I think it physically goes somewhere.
Okay.
But they do it, and it's kind of anachronistic. And if you go into the bank, it's all paperless. If you go inside,
yeah.
Because I have very little reason to go to my bank. I go to the bank 3 times a year to take care of stuff, and that's it. The rest of it's all directly deposited. And as we move into a cashless society,
I had to do some bank stuff recently, and they don't work. They don't work hours that I do, so I can never make it to the bank. Because I showed up at like 8 o'clock, and they're like, "Nope, it's 9 to 5." I'm like, "Oh, okay. When did that happen?" I guess always, maybe, I don't know. Because you even have like bank holidays here, where it's like, "Why are we taking a holiday?" It's like, "Well, because the banks are." So.
Has to do with the federal government, all those federal holidays that aren't paid holidays for everyone else, but they're bank holidays because there's no Fed Overwatch on those days.
They have a bunch of weird stuff like that in like the UK as well. They have their own weird banking holidays there, but I don't know about Canada. But
it's part of the Commonwealth, so maybe they follow suit.
Okay. So he basically traces a wine glass in the top thing, and then when basically nothing is written on top because he just did it with his fingernail. But then he undoes it, and there's like, look, a wine glass. And then like he takes another one and kind of like tries to make a heart. And then when he like looks at it underneath, there's a message that says like, the thing in the pocket is a gun, like like give me all the money. And he's like, then he gets like kind of like, wait, what the hell happened? It's like, was somebody gonna rob the bank? And they backed out of it. Which is like a great reveal.
Yeah. Like that make you look around.
And he shows it to who is this? Julie, yeah. He shows this to Julie, and she's like, quit playing around or whatever. So she's like, she doesn't believe him. And he's like, wait, somebody tried to rob the bank. And then his boss comes up and he says like, hey, keep Julie company before, I have to go attend to my family. Keep Julie company at the Regency before I get there. Like, I didn't understand anything was going on here. We cut to him like he's picking up a fish, which is like, it's this black angel fish. He has like a more technical name, but the rest of the time he just calls it angel fish. And then he is having a drink with Julie. And then the boss shows up and it's like, all right, thanks for holding on to her. Like, and they're just going to have an affair in the hotel. Like in the meantime, it's like, this is weird. It's like, hey,
it's involving extra people in your extramarital affair for like weird reasons.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you need to have a watcher at the bar for her? Is like, do you think she's like so available because she's having an affair with you that she might cheat on you also? I don't understand. There was some kind of dynamic there. Or maybe it was just a power play to show everyone in the office, like, hey, look who I'm sleeping with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing later on where like it gets weird as to why Miles is like kind of like ostracized from the rest of the like banking group, because like everybody's sleeping with everybody, but nobody's sleeping with him until everybody's sleeping with him.
Yeah. So it's going to be Miles' turn on the carousel pretty soon. You kind of feel bad for him, and then it's like, oh damn, Miles, it's yes, mid coke pre-AIDS. There we go.
So yeah, then he actually does have drinks with Julie, but he's just there. He's the cuck in the situation.
Yeah. He's got a fish in a bag on the table.
Then Charles shows up, and then Miles leaves. Miles goes back home, and he's like bathing under like a UV light or something.
Yeah, something weird like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Tan.
Yeah, it looked like some weird 70s.
Yeah,
like fad.
The weird pseudoscience of the 70s. You'll live forever if you do this.
He's like next to his aquarium. He goes back and he stares at the robbery note, and so like he starts thinking here. Which, like, the whole time I'm never thinking, like, I'm never anticipating what he's going to do with this. I was just like, he's thinking, like, damn, there was almost a robbery. So we cut to the next day. Miles is talking to the boss. Or the boss invites people to a family dinner and he wants Miles to take Julie so she won't like arrive alone to like keep up appearances.
This kind of makes more sense than the bar thing.
Yeah. But also like later on it's like implied that like his wife knows about it anyways and this is all for naught or something. So.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird dance they're all doing.
Also just seems weird that Charles seems like younger than everybody. It's like, why is he the bank? Why is he the boss? So, but hey, maybe he just went to college.
He had really good hair.
Yeah.
I think in the 70s, that's all it took. Who's got the best hair?
Well, he's also like not even like the best looking guy in the bank. I guess.
No.
You know, I guess he's the head of the bank. Maybe he just makes a ton of money. Let me see. Julie's training a lady. She's like a busty blonde from the late 70s, early 80s. So she has
the hairstyle and a way of dressing that nobody does anymore. Nobody would spend that much time on their hair now.
When she has some like funny like shirt on like every day, like bank tellers do it best or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, then I wrote John Candy shows up for a bit, and he literally just like says a line to like Miles and then disappears. And I thought like, oh hey, that's John Candy. I was like, well, he's gone forever now, but he's actually like a part of the bank. So, and I think Miles like goes out. I don't know if there's a fake Orange Julius or if this is a real thing. It's called. It was like it looks like a basketball that people are serving orange juice out of, or some sort of orange flavored drink. I can't remember what it was called. I didn't know if it was like a real thing or if it's something they made up for the movie. But so he's drinking an orange drink, and then he sees there's like a particular way that Reichel is his name. We'll find later on. Writes like his G's and stuff.
Yeah, because the G in gun, it's like it basically looks like a C. And then you have a weird slash to make it a G. It really,
but it's like slanted rather than straight. And so he notices that writing on the hand, and he realizes like, oh, that Santa Claus was going to rob the bank. And so, which it doesn't make him like, let's go to the cops. He's just mulling things around in his head. So, we get back.
He also does maintain eye contact with that Santa Claus a little too long.
Yeah.
And Reichel immediately like vectors in on what's this guy doing because he's a suspicious criminal.
Yeah. If we get back at the bank, Miles serves Mr. Fogelman, who's like, I'm not sure if he's meant to be. He's a reoccurring customer. He seems to have lots of money that he brings in. So,
well, he's the big cash deposit guy, which plays into the story later.
Which I think Miles says something later on like everybody knows he's the vault teller, which I'm guessing that means like more money goes through him than other tellers or something like that. Because I guess I don't know like what a bank hierarchy works like, so this is like the most I've gotten to like. Even though there was some more stuff like that in Dog Day Afternoon, there was like some specific style bank stuff worked in that movie, but I think more so here.
Yeah,
and now again I don't know if it's true or made up in the movie. It sounds possible. So. The Santa Reichel, played by Christopher Plummer, he comes into the bank. A kid runs up asking him for a bunch of things for Christmas. Like, this kid is super weird. He mentions he's got a toys in his pocket, which means it's the gun in his pocket that the kid's like reaching for. So, or maybe he's just got a bunch of chains on or that. I don't know. This Reichel character is very weird, and like I don't know if like it's almost like he's got like some kind of like vague punk thing going on, and like sadist punk.
Yeah, like a weird like S&M anarchist vibe or something. It's
but like
weird.
not too completely, but there is like something going on there. Like I can't even remember he has eyebrows. There seems to be something kind of weird with his face. He seems to have manicured hands, and he's always having this necklace on.
Yeah.
And there's the one
big chunky necklaces were a 70s thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I remember a lot of guys had like you had necklace through a collar open to a chest hair with a necklace through it and things like that.
But also there's like a part where like he spends some time at like a gym, and then this seems to be like everybody knows him there. Then like, but that's that only scene that happens there, so it's left up to you what that implies. So yeah, he leaves suddenly when he's like, yeah, the guy, he's got too many eyes on him. It's not a good time to rob the bank. So, um,
and I believe Colin notices him too, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Even though it's hard to like, because like I know Christopher Plummer's in the movie and I know it's Christopher Plummer in the Santa. I'm like looking at him, I was like, is that Christopher Plummer? I'm still asking myself. So, but also like I don't know, this might be the youngest I've ever seen Christopher Plummer
Yeah, he
in a
was
role.
pretty young. I mean, he died when he was 91, and it was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So he lived a long time. But yeah, he was. So what would he have been in this? His 40s?
Yeah, probably. That's Elliot Cole would have also been like 40 in this movie. So
yeah,
because he was born in 38, so this is 78. Like so, yeah. And we got to Miles calls Julie to talk to her. She's like affairing with the boss, and he hangs up. So, and then we see like Miles is thinking about stealing from the bank with a Superman lunchbox. Or I actually don't know what going. It's like I thought he was just gonna like miscount bills and stuff. And like I had no idea what was going on at first with this, because it also makes him seem very like childish, like in his pursuit of like him robbing the bank, and then they actually come to find out like, oh, this is actually genius. We see Simonson. John Candy goes on a lunch date with the hot teller Louise. So then this probably just makes Miles kind of extra jealous in a way, where it's like, what do I gotta do? It's like everybody's hooking up in the office except for me. Then Mr. Fogelman comes in with another deposit, and then Reichel comes in with a robbery note, which is written on different paper. It's not on the carbon copy paper; it's just different paper now.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of paper that was, or you just bought that, or is it just some paper?
Just some kind of paper. I don't know if there's anything special about it.
Okay, well, it's like it's not like a letter paper. It's like a strip, and like I don't know if it was like meant like on it's like in something or something like that, because he recreates that exact note at the end of the movie. So it's like, oh wait, what is that? And so I'm not sure what it is, but maybe it's a stock ticker quote.
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah, like the old stock machines.
Miles starts handing over the cash, and then like after a while, there's a silent alarm, which we just see like a red light goes off on Julie's desk, and then like she kind of looks over, and then like the guard looks over. Is the guard somebody? He looks super familiar. Did you recognize the guard?
He did. He looked like
Is there just another guy he looks a lot like?
Yeah, he just looks he looked like one of the actors from the Twilight Zone.
Okay.
And I couldn't think of who it was, but I went and looked, and like nothing came up.
Okay. All right.
So
the guard goes after Reichel. There's like a brief shootout like in the mall, and then eventually like Reichel gets outside, and there's like a guy tying a tree to his car, and he just steals that guy's car, which that guy's like hanging onto the car, like the side door's open, he's like standing in the door well, and he's like hanging on for like a long time, and then just he gets away. And then then we see Reichel start to strip off his like Santa outfit, and he's got like a fishnet like shirt underneath, which it could have just be wearing that because it's hot, but he also has the necklace on, so
he's a weirdo. He's supposed to be a weirdo, and Christopher Plummer makes it work. Yeah, by the way, he's using a Walther P-38 to hold up the bank.
Okay.
It seemed like an anachronistic, like World War II gun.
Yeah. And maybe it was just surplus.
And then the bank, Sean Sullivan's the actor's name that plays the guard. Yeah, he looks familiar. He's using an old Smith & Wesson Model 10. And they're having a shootout in a mall full of people just blasting away. Like, yeah, I don't think they would do that nowadays.
Yeah, this movie's not like that. Like, it doesn't have like high like action scenes or anything. So this is kind of their biggest action scene. I remember like hearing people talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, the action scene in the mall, and it's like 2 seconds. It's like 2 minutes long, or not even that. But I don't know, for this production, which is probably a pretty limited production, that was pretty good. So
yeah. Just seems like from a liability standpoint, in modern terms, it seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, I thought like when they talk about like the mall action scene, we're gonna get like Blues Brother, like let's drive the cars through a mall. Wasn't quite that. So that'd be in the end Act 1. We got Act 2. Miles, Julie, and the guard are at the police station giving statements. Presumably the guard's there because he opened fire in a public place and didn't hit a guy. So, but also didn't hit anybody else, presumably. So
yeah,
or else the guard wouldn't be back that day. They're curious about the details of the alarm and why he didn't empty the alarm stack first. So like Elliot's, or not Elliot, well, it's Elliot Gould. Miles' character, there's a alarm in the 100 stack, and if it completely gets emptied, it completes a circuit that sets off an alarm, which I believe that was also something they mentioned in Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, remember that? I know there was like a stack of money where if you pull it out, which actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit more details about like how like the system works, but like yeah. And that's all I wrote. But yeah, they're asking him like, "Hey, why did you do that last?" And he's like, "Oh, I just wasn't thinking. There was a gun in my face," but there actually wasn't because but like they show some camera footage later on, and you couldn't really see whether there was a gun in his face or not. So
yeah.
But there was a note that said there was a gun. So, and then he did pull the gun out later. So there is, everybody knows there's a gun. So, I can't remember. Yeah, what's that thing where like everybody remembers something incorrectly, even though like all the pieces are there.
It's called the Verhoeven Effect.
Oh yeah, and also right, because like he's looking through a bunch of different pictures and he sees Reichel, but then he just goes past him. Is like, did you just misidentify Reichel? Which I believe he does. And then this basically like there's like news footage. Like I forget, but yeah, basically it's a reveal that like Miles has used the robbery to cover up for his robbery.
Yeah.
So like Reichel gets like $1,000 and Miles runs out with like $43,000. I'll have the exact number later on.
48,000.
And
which would be like $1 million. I don't know.
And then he just sits there and tells like the police, like, yes, this is and he says it on newscasts, like, this is how much money was stolen from the bank by this guy. And this guy's looking at the news reports like, I didn't get that money. He's like, he knows he just
I got shot at for $1,000.
Which like that's when like so you put like, oh, that's a great premise. Like rob the bank and use a robbery as your cover for your robbery. So because like so far it's like he just seems like it's like, oh, this seems to be kind of like a put upon guy where he's just like nothing's going his way, and then he's just like, I found a clever way to rob the bank. So yeah, Reichel is agonizing over the news reports. So it is where he feels like his ripoff got ripped off. He's like in a sauna with like a lady, and then like he just like beats her up. She's like coming on to him, and he's just like doing nothing, and then he just starts like choking her and beating her up, and then like you see her twitching on the ground like as he leaves, and then like everybody in the gym comes up and is like, "Hey man, you can't be doing that again." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like
yeah.
it's like we got.
This is the second time. It's
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is like
nuts.
And like this is like the only like other interaction between him and other people that we get. So like everything else just has to be implied that like, okay, he hangs out at this gym. Like, is he working out or is he just getting a sauna? Is this where he meets ladies? Like, what's going on here? Does he just rob a bank once a year? Or like, what's his job? But it just sets him up as like he's a dangerous character, and he's going to be going after the main character of this movie. So then we cut to Miles has a long line at work, and then like he asks for a break because now he's like a celebrity that he's been on TV like talking about the bank robbery, and like there's stuff about like people saying like he's photogenic, and so now like people are like coming on to him and stuff like that, and then also his coworkers are like making fun of him for it. So, but then also like Julie sees him in a new light, so it's like all kinds of weird stuff. But I don't know. Nathan, would you go to the bank of a famous bank robbery scene and bank with the teller just because he was on TV?
I mean, I don't know, maybe in the 70s and 80s, if I saw it, and it's like, oh, I live within a mile of there, and that's my bank. I'm going to go check this out, but I couldn't see, like, I'm driving 100 miles. I'm driving from the Yukon territories to see this guy. I don't see that happening.
But that's, I don't know. It's also like in that time where like, for all you know, once you see somebody on TV, they must be rich and famous.
Yeah.
Whereas like nowadays, it's like, no, it's not true.
No, I can actually look it up on networth.com.
Which, as far as I know, that's all a lie. So.
Yeah. But sometimes it has names, addresses, social security numbers. It's important information.
So he asked he has to switch jobs with Julie. So he starts doing like the safety deposit box duty.
Yeah.
And so he uses an excuse to put his stolen money in the deposit box while a customer gets in their box, which is also clever because it becomes a thing later on in the movie where it's like a who's on first bit where they're like, where's the money? He's like, it's in the bank. And they're like, it's literal. It's like, it's not, but it's not in the vault. I mean, well, it's in the vault. It's just in a deposit box and the bank doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's uncounted bills. Then we got to his home. He like hides the box key in some jelly, which it's like, that's, kind of clever. It's like, who's going to be digging in jelly for key.
Right.
And then he hides like what he has.
Very purloined letter type, somebody, because it was an old Edgar Allan Poe story. It's one of my favorite. That detective was most famous in the Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Edgar Allan Poe actually invented Sherlock Holmes before Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a guy who just like, I use pure rational reason to solve every problem. And it's like, in the Rue Morgue, it's like somebody's pet monkey went nuts.
Okay.
It's like, what? How would you know that? It's because no human could climb up there. He wouldn't just rip the two ladies apart and there were gold coins all over the floor. When the purloined letter, there was like somebody stole a letter that could start a war between the U.S. and some other country. And it's like, we know he has the letter. Where did he put it? And they're like, we went through everything. We took a microscope and went over the seams and the doors and the woods and we went through his desk and everything. And the detective's like, oh, it's in with the other letters. It's like, what? Just go look in his mail. And they did. And it was like, it was there. It's like, why? How did you know that? It's like, well, no one's going to think to look there. They're going to, take microscopes to the walls and stuff. And see what, it's one of my favorite Edgar Allan Poe stories. The same thing. It's like, where's the money hidden? In the bank. It's like, oh, okay.
And also there's like a note of like the box, safety deposit box. I'm not sure if it's something there's kind of official thing on it because it's blank, but he can write a name in later on. But basically says like he owns the box or something like that. But he hides that in a book, a chess book.
Yeah.
Which seems less, easier to find, I guess. You'd have to know to look there.
So this one, and the chess motif is established at this point. The chess game between him and Reichard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's like they're moving things around.
Well, the first time you see the chessboard is like it's when he calls Julie up and she's like having the affair with the boss.
Yeah.
And like he knocks over the chess game.
Yeah.
But you never see him play chess. He's just like it's a thing to be considered. But I guess I didn't take on the literal like chess game between the two guys.
We gotta remember they didn't have the internet back then, so a lot of guys had like huge, nice chessboards and read books about it. And then online porn was great. And that all went in the trash. So, but yeah, that was fairly common back then. I mean, chess pieces like this tall on a marble board, and it looked cool. And it's like you could read books about it and pretend to understand it or pretend it's interesting to do. Both of those things are lies, but it's it looks cool.
Yeah,
I used to have one around here somewhere. But.
I mean, they have things where like people would play. You'd have like correspondent chess games, or like, and this funny you could like just call somebody up, but you would have like, here's my move by mail, which is always an interesting thing.
Well, that's like guys that are like shut-ins or whatever. Like I can stare at this chessboard for 2 weeks and plot out every potentiality, and then I have library books on all the great games of chess ever. There's a whole world that goes with it, or you can do that thing where it's like. It's timed and it's like whoever there's two paths to victory, time or defeating your enemy, because it's time is the determiner. If you just play it to a dead stop where it's like victory is not possible because you just keep moving the pieces around, and then the other one is like, if I can take your king, but because that adds like a time pressure element to it. But this is stuff people do what was that called? Correspondence chess.
Yeah.
It could be like Spock and Kirk, just be talking about something else, like bishop to king, bishop 6. It's like, what? Nobody's that smart. Come on.
Yeah, but that's always the thing, you have your smart character say in a movie.
Yeah.
It's always a shortcut. I always hate it, but
well, they always tried to, like, the Kirk and Spock dynamic was like Spock was like definitely the guy for science, but Kirk was just this ultimate tactician that Spock couldn't outthink.
Yeah.
Even playing like multi-dimensional chess, it's like you still can't beat Kirk no matter how hard. He's always got an answer. It might not be moral or decent or correct, but he will have an answer for you.
Yeah, well, because Spock would think too literal about the game and work within the game's constraints, and Kirk would think around that. It's like, what if this was a thing? It's like, what if you did something illogical, which then messed up what your character would do? And then, of course, there's always that fun moment in Wrath of Khan where Spock is like kind of comparing. It's like, oh, Khan thinks in 2 dimensionals, and so they just like move on the z-axis and come up behind him. It's like, oh yeah, you want to think that way. He's a genius on two dimensions, but not 3.
Well, yeah, because the thing I don't know what there's no like canon lore about what Khan was. Just he was like a leader in the eugenics wars, which would have happened 30 years ago by now. I don't remember that happening here, but yeah, essentially he was like a land general.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're not moving in all the directions of space on land. You're moving forward, backwards. And that was the whole thing, is like, yeah, he was a genius at that, probably smarter than Kirk at that, but not moving ships around in 3-dimensional space. He just couldn't figure out all the angles that Kirk had.
Yeah. Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, so yeah, we got to, there's like a children's choir in an old folks home, and Miles wishes his father Merry Christmas. He has some sort of dementia or some such, so this makes his character even sadder. So
yeah, this is a very lonely guy, Cullen.
Yeah.
It's all solitary activities. It's chess. It's fish. It's giving yourself cancer with a lamp. It's all the stuff you do in the 70s. I didn't see any Quaaludes or anything, but
and he is like, he is asking ladies out and getting shut down.
Yeah.
So because they're having affairs with their boss.
Yeah, it's not like, no, you give me the creeps. It's like, oh, no, this space is otherwise occupied, but now you're becoming more interesting and more brazen. You're taking more chances.
And when we cut to Miles goes to Julie's house, he helps himself to some wine. Well, she tells him to get some wine from the fridge. Then Julie shows off her dress, which, like, his apartment looks, it kind of has like a studio apartment thing where the bed's just like in the middle of a space. There's not really a bedroom, but she has like this elaborate apartment.
Yeah, she has like, he looks like he's in a tenement house somewhere in Toronto, where she looks like it's like, oh, this was a built luxury apartment.
Yeah.
Like, oh, are you a kept woman? Did the bank manager make this kind of money? Or have you been doing this a lot?
Yeah, because she has her dress reveal from like an upper balcony.
Yeah.
I
think we find out in the end of the movie that yes, Susanna does play the game though, because she does live way better than he does. Because his apartment, not only is it not luxurious, but it's like implied you have to walk up 15 flights of stairs to get to it. So it's like really Soviet living.
Then we have like then we have the Charles family Christmas party. Miles walk. Oh yeah, this is like where everybody introduces themselves to Vivian, who is the Charles's wife.
Yeah, his actual wife.
And then she has she weirdly like doesn't like Miles, and she doesn't like Julie, which is understandable. But then like everybody else is okay. So, and then Miles also walks in on Louise. That's the new teller having sex with some guy. I didn't get his name.
I thought it was just the bank manager.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, this guy sleeps with other guys' women like it's a job.
No, this is like the creepier kind of like comb over guy that hangs out with. Remember when?
Oh, that was him and Simonson do dialogue back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember they're making fun of Miles when he has like the moaning card.
Yes.
So that's that guy. But I never got his name. I don't know who he was. I didn't even know he was a part of the bank.
And this is where we find out that Simonson and Louise are engaged.
Yes.
It's announced at this party. And then she's having sex with him, which is really embarrassing. And Miles closes the door, and then he opens the door, and again he's like, "I've got to get the drugs, or they're just going to send me back. Sorry, guys." So he gets the code or whatever and leaves, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Because there's something early on when they're talking. I think they're talking about the bank robbery, and they're like, "What would you do with it?" And then I think, or like, "Would you rob a bank?" And I think Louise says something about like, "Well, you can do anything once." And this guy perks up like, "Once," which I don't know if sex in the bathroom is like, "Yeah, do that once."
Yeah,
it's like
where the door's unlocked and anyone can walk in. It's like, yeah, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
Or she seems like somebody who already would have done that. So
yeah.
We cut to Miles take Julie to his house. There's a bit with the top of his convertible. Like, do you know what the car he has?
That is an MG.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Some kind.
It's like an MG40 or
some
something.
kind
like
of terrible car to drive in that climate where it's like snows 6 months a year and it's freezing cold.
It's kind of like a small sports car, like imagine like a Cobra, but like a box.
Yeah.
And even smaller. And then it's got like it's a convertible, so it's got a little hood that goes up top, which I guess he says if you go over 40 miles an hour, it will pop off. So that's what happens here, which I thought was going to be like a mechanic for later on in the movie, but it ends up not being anything. So
yeah.
So yeah, we're at Miles' apartment. Julie talks about her life like wasting away and wonders what Miles would do with the money if he had it. And he says that like he couldn't do much, but you could buy a second chance. So.
Yeah, it's not life changing, but you could maybe
he could move to another city.
Yeah.
And then have a bad time there as well.
Yeah, just be miserable there. And he's driving a Triumph TR6.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not a great car. I mean, look cool, but they were not like, this is reliable and fun. And it's definitely not something I would have in Canada.
She undoes her scarf thing or whatever, and then they start kissing, and then they're interrupted by a phone call, and he picks up, and then this is where we got Reichel on the other, and he says, "Think of a number," which that's the name of the Dutch novel.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good. I thought he was gonna say like think of a number between whatever and whatever, and then like but it's not that. But he says think of a number. Think of 48,350, which I guess Miles would clock exactly what that means. But like he tries to ignore it, and he says he hangs up. Reichel calls back. He says you got the wrong number again, and he hangs up. But now Miles is frustrated and stops kissing her, and he says that she's had a lot of drink. He doesn't know if he should be doing this, and so Julie gets very disappointed, and so he takes Julie home. Which presumably he's drunk as well, so I'm not sure.
I don't think they had laws about that back then. Don't kill anyone. Wear your seatbelt. Hold the convertible top down.
So he takes Julie home. Miles gets back to his apartment. He sees that the phone is back on the receiver, and so he checks the jelly for the key. It's still there, so he knows Reichel's been in the apartment. Then Reichel calls from a payphone downstairs, which is a very interesting. Like how they pose these together. It's a very interesting. I mean, there was a lot of stuff with like, having someone call from a phone booth, but it's like right outside the house when he's on like, fourth floor.
Interact with him. It's almost like a video call for that era. It's like, I can see you from my window.
And what does it say? It costs a dime to make a call.
Yeah.
It was always a quarter when I was growing up.
Yeah. I think the dime era bypassed me too. I always remember it being a quarter.
And now they just don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Use your tracking device to call me.
Yeah, Reichel. Yeah, while they're talking, of course, Reichel's like threatening him because he wants his money. Reichel pulls out his gun. Miles turns away from the window and back to see that Reichel is gone, and so then he starts like immediately barricading the front door. Which then Reichel doesn't bust in. He just opens up the mail slot you can just see his eyes perfectly like framed in there, and he's just like creepily like it's like one day we're gonna meet. So, we cut to the next day. Miles is at work. He gets a postcard from Reichel and a call. So this is like he like sends him like it's like this weird postcard that moans, has a lady on it, like in a like a bikini, and like when you press on it, it moans.
Yeah.
Which I think that like guys were presuming that it was like, did they think Julie sent that to him, or like what do you think they thought was going on here, or did he just?
I mean, I assume.
Well, I guess he's kind of a mini celebrity right now, so
Yeah.
maybe it could be any suitor or something like that. So.
It was just a way to add office drama.
Yeah. Yeah, but Reichel calls the bank, and then like Miles has to like pretend he's just like helping somebody with like bank operations or something like that. Reichel wants the money. Charles comes up and he's like suspicious of Miles sleeping with Julie, I guess. Like It's like, hey, why are you sleeping with my affair girlfriend or mistress? I guess I don't know what they call these things. So. And then this is where we have like the John Candy character and the other guy like mock him for the postcard that moans. Like they start moaning at him. So then we cut to Miles gets home to the apartment trashed, and an angelfish knife to the wall. So that's an escalation. So.
Yeah,
which he doesn't seem too like. You figured he'd like break down crying or a bit. Like he doesn't even acknowledge the fish's knife to the wall. So.
I think it's like a lot of things in Miles' life. It's like, well, there's a thing, and now it's gone. So,
Reichel calls from the payphone again. He asks to like talk in person, and so Miles tells him to come up, and then as Reichel's coming up, Miles goes down the fire exit. So there's like another fun little chess game they're playing here. Like, yeah, he just doesn't want to talk to him. Then Reichel's in the apartment, and then Miles calls from the payphone, and he answers it, and he tells him to go fuck himself. So
yeah,
it's a pretty good moment. It's like, because he just does it like boldly, like there's no like hint of desperation. It's like, man, because like all I'm thinking though is like he's getting way too into this for like, he's like probably maybe not piss this guy off, and ultimately it's going to be a bad decision. But it really doesn't matter how like well he would treated Reichel, the same thing would happen anyways.
No, yeah, he's gonna get killed. As soon as you give him the money, you're dead, because that's the last end you got to tie up, and he knows that. That's what's really dangerous about dealing with actual psychopaths. It's like, yeah, they'll just kill you. It's just like, well, I see the problem in sight, or the solution in sight that involves you not living.
Reichel goes down to find Miles, but he's gone. But then Miles is just like kind of skulking around the background. Then he follows Reichel after he leaves, which I feel like Elliot Gould's too tall for this clandestine thing.
Yeah, too tall for like what they call that, field craft or whatever.
But Miles follows Reichel to an apartment, and then Miles, like not having no idea what the hell's going on here, he steals a van and parks it in front of Reichel's apartment, and then calls the cops to get Reichel arrested. Like, I had no idea what's going on this entire time, which is why
he's using like 40s gumshoe dialogue to the cops. He's like, "Be careful, he's got a heater." It's like, what?
He's got the rod.
The rod, no, it's the rod. Yeah.
And he even like as he hangs up the phone, he's like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah, even he's like, "That's as corny as shit."
But this is one thing. Is like, that's it's so Siskel. You knew this was gonna happen the entire time. Like, there's no way. I don't know. Maybe he was so stooped in like Hitchcock stuff that he's just like, yeah, this is what you do in Hitchcock movies, because this is essentially just a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
So.
Supposedly Hitchcock loved it too.
Oh, that's nice.
According to Elliot Gould, he like screened it at his house for him or something.
There's some. I think in Quebec City, there's like this crazy huge hotel there where World War II planning was done with like Churchill and a bunch of other people. And there's a Hitchcock movie that takes place there where like a priest hears a confession, and basically the guy confessed to killing somebody. He knows who the guy is, and he doesn't know, will he betray, telling on him for his like craft, or will he actually turn this murderer in? So it's like, I hear it's a really good Hitchcock movie that I never heard of before, but it takes place in this giant hotel. So.
Oh, okay.
It's in Canada, so it's vaguely adjacent to what this is going on here. So yeah, next day the cops have brought in Miles to identify Reichel in a police lineup, which he doesn't identify Reichel, but he says he seems familiar, which, isn't So he's not saying he's the bank robber, but he's saying like he's a seedy character, and maybe like
keep an eye on that one.
But because they found him with a gun, which I'm guessing he's a previous criminal, the gun would like bring some sort of offense on him. So
I don't think you can own a handgun in Canada. I think you can have rifles and stuff. Maybe I don't know what the laws were at that time, but he didn't have he had kind of an anachronistic gun.
I don't know. He has the same gun at the end of the movie, so they saw the gun and went like, "That's cool. Here we go." Unless he just found the same guy and got the same gun. So.
That could be.
This guy just has a surplus of these guns somewhere in Canada. He's just like handing them off to criminals.
Well, also that was known to be like a German gun from World War II. So it's like, well, the bad guy is going to have the Nazi gun.
So yeah, he asked like, what's gonna be done with him is like not enough. So then Miles asks Julie out, but she refuses because of the weirdness surrounding him, which is like, I guess like good on her part, but whatever. So, again, she's not necessarily like a good character either. She's just kind of like, then we cut to like, this comes out of nowhere, a funeral for Miles' father. He talks to Elaine, who she says this is one of his father's caretakers, and like he takes her to her bus stop. But she said like, your father was always so nice, which the only time we see him, he seemed like catatonic and didn't respond to anybody. So it's like maybe that's why Miles would be immediately suspicious of it. It's like because she didn't know like his condition.
Well, she was also immediately out of his league. Like, you could tell like this was. She was like, she had like some French Canadian accent. She looked like a supermodel. It's like, I don't think this is random, but it shows again, it's his insight, but willing to go along with it. Like, what can I get out of it?
Yeah.
Oh, sex with a beautiful woman. Okay. Absolutely.
Miles gets home to his housekeeper cleaning up his place, which I kind of expect the housekeeper to maybe be out of his budget, but anyway.
This movie makes me want to work for a bank, low-level jobs, and drive around in crappy European sports cars, and I could get my steps in every day, walking up and down the stairs to my apartment that a Polish woman cleans for me. Like, okay, or Russian. I'm not sure. I think she was Polish, but yeah.
But he opens up the fridge, and then like he sees that like a bunch of stuff is gone, including the jelly. Which man, that jelly didn't look bad. She said it like had mold on it. It's like there's no way that jelly had mold.
Unless the refrigerator wasn't working. Yeah. I've had jelly for 5 years and it's fine.
But just before, as he pulls in, you see that the garbage truck is leaving. So he oh, it's out there. He does run out to kind of like look at the corner, but he then like gives up on like trying to dig through trash to find this key. So it's like, then we cut to Miles sitting in the park. Elaine shows up with some booze and talks with Miles. Like, again, this isn't like happenstance that they found each other, but she plays it off as such. But I just thought like, it's like, I guess they're trying to, because she says something like, why are you here? It's like, oh, my father used to take me here. It's like, yes, I knew that. It's like, no, it's all right. So yeah, they go out to a restaurant. Elaine has to go to work at a club, so they go to the club. And so like Elaine is now, she says she's now serving drinks there, but you find out later she was never a nurse, or whatever, assistant, medical assistant,
CNA. I don't know what they call them in Canada.
He asks Elaine out to a wedding. She's like, "What are you proposing?" He's like, "No, we're just going to a wedding." Cut to Simonson and Louise are married. Louise is pregnant, but it's maybe with the other guy that she slept with. So
yeah, it's got dark implication. Like everyone's kind of making weird eye contact. Like,
yeah, because he says, "I'm like, yeah, we had a little too much booze at Christmas time." It's like, I don't think that's your kid.
Everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
It's also weird because like they're on a beach, so it's like this is like I guess a neat wedding to have on the beach, but I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of waterfront in Toronto, so there's got to be a beach somewhere. But I just don't associate beaches with Canada. So
we don't know how much time has passed, because if they were just at Christmas and now they're having a wedding, it's like, oh, it'd be freezing cold.
Miles and Elaine walk like the beach. They're like flirting with each other. We cut to Miles and Elaine are at his apartment making out. She puts out the candles with her fingers to make it darker, which he's like, doesn't that hurt? And she's like, only a little. She had to lick her fingers before doing that. So a lot of weird properties you can do with like water and fire and not getting hurt. So
yeah, you can walk across burning coals.
Post-sex, Elaine gets a cigarette and comes to bed, which again, the bed's just like in the middle. I guess this must be a studio apartment because there's no like separate bedroom. So Miles questions Elaine as she's not who she says she is, and she says she's there to spy on Miles for Reichel. There's also a fun thing where it's like, you knew, didn't you? It's like, she's like, you're fucking me and you're fucking Reichel too. And he's like, yeah.
Doesn't really deny it. And Reichel might like that in real life.
Yeah. There's also a little bit here, which I didn't know if like, because well, I think in the if you read like the synopsis of the movie, they always refer to Reichel as a sadist, but it's never like stated in the movie.
Yeah.
But there's like this bit where it's like, oh, does she have like some water on her hip? And then I think there's scars. So I didn't know if she was like his submissive or something like that. And he'd like beat her up and like that's like their thing. And like that's why she works for him. Because it didn't seem like he'd have somebody that he doesn't seem like a guy who has friends.
Yeah.
So maybe there's this weird, psychological element to it where it's like she's psychologically damaged but needs this other psychologically damaged person that will beat her up for her sexual pleasure or something like that.
Or it's the only thing she understands.
Yeah.
We don't know much about them, but they seem to be entwined in some kind of relationship.
Yeah. Again, none of this is ever stated. It's just like little pieces for you to put together, whether that means because this movie's fairly brisk. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
So having been in Act 2, we Act 3. Elaine visits Reichel in jail. She lies to him about being suspected because now basically she's in on whatever Miles is doing, but she's still like working for Reichel. So, yeah, and she will eventually fully betray Reichel to her own demise. But she does say like as she's leaving, she says, "There's nobody like you," which again, don't know what that means other than he's just weird. So.
Nobody hurts me quite like you.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. We cut to Elaine shows up at the bank in a wig. Elaine comes in with a slip and claiming she lost the key so they can get a locksmith, which is just something that Miles had previously asked Julie about. It's like, hey, you lost the key. What do you do? And she's like, yeah, you just get a locksmith come in and make put a new lock in. Because how these locks. Because I never had a safe deposit box, but how it works here, there's two keys. The bank has one and you have the other.
Yeah.
And so they unlock one portion and then you unlock the other. And then you have your little privacy with your lockbox. So Charles is charmed by Elaine, so he tries to hit on her. And so she lets them get away with a lot of things as they get a locksmith. Because he's like, hey, why don't you give one more look? And then because like Julie's not there. So she's like the head of like the safety deposit box thing, or that's
she's on lunch.
Yeah. Which the locksmith was delayed by another job, so he gets there late. He comes in and drills out the locks and makes a new lock. Then Elaine tries to take the money because he has it like wrapped up in kind of like this picnic towels or something like that.
They're placemats that you would eat on, so you just put the money in there and ties them off with cord or something.
Yeah. She's like tries to put it in her purse, but he keeps like making this loud statement like, oh, so you are going to leave your valuables here, aren't you, Matt? And he kind of forces her to put it back. And then as they're like leaving, Miles sees that Julie's about to come back in the bank and he just like kind of runs out to run a distraction, and he basically like asks her out and then like in a way that like excites her, but then she's immediately confused, like, not tonight. I got things I gotta do tonight. And she's like, wait, what? Like, then we got to Miles has a candlelight dinner. He's got like a cigar, so he's basically like celebrating because like now he can now get into the money once again. Elaine tells Miles that Reichel won't make a deal. He'll just take all the money and then kill him afterwards. So
yeah, which is kind of what we figured.
Yeah. And then he'll kill her too if he finds out that she helped him. So, and she also says he's done it before. So, which we don't know whether that's true or not, but we have to believe it. So, Miles gives her the safety deposit key, which I was guessing like, did he really do that? I didn't know if he like gave her a fake key, but no, he gave her the real key. So he trusted her in some weird way, or maybe that just made it more exciting for him to trust her. So. Because maybe he's playing at this point like there's really no good way to get the money out.
Well, he thinks that like because he's kind, it's like he's won her away from Reichel.
Yeah,
because he's not like savagely beating her, or threatening her life, or whatever stuff he's doing. It's like, I've won another move.
Elaine leaves to go to like the bathroom, and then she runs across Reichel, which it's a surprise that he's out of jail. She's like, "How'd you get out?" And he's like, "I have friends," which I have no idea what that means. This guy doesn't seem like he has friends.
This guy has associates, not necessarily friends.
We cut to Elaine and Reichel are at Miles' apartment. Reichel is turning the place upside down. Elaine says she's done with Reichel and taunts him. We have a bit of a moment where she stops at the chessboard, which will be important later on. He starts slapping her with his belt, and then just like beating her up generally, and he starts drowning her in the aquarium, which is like a thing. I'm not sure if it's in another movie. I remember this being like a joke in like, what is it? It was like making fun of all those like sex thrillers from the 90s. Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
With Armand Assante. Or maybe I'm thinking of Naked Gun. There's also a thing with fish and people getting drowned in a Naked Gun. So
Naked Gun was like, I think Naked Gun, they had a guy do like the super rare fish.
Yeah.
And Frank Drebin was like using a pen playing with it, and it flew through the air and went into the fish tank and speared this like $75,000 fish. And then he's trying to like get it off. And so that was what was it? Was it Fatal Attraction, or it was a play on those names?
A Fatal Instinct.
Fatal Instinct.
Yes,
yeah,
that's the comedy one.
I think there was a head in a fish tank there.
But yeah, I think drowning in a fish tank is like a common thing here. So they do like an extra thing here where she like kicks him in the balls and she gets let go, and then he like grabs like a vase off the wall, throws it at her, misses her, hits the aquarium, and then busts it open. And then he like grabs her and he just grinds her throat in like the broken glass of the aquarium. It's like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
They cut away pretty quickly, but you start to see some like red stuff going on there. Because he's not just like pushing it against her. He's like back and forth sawing her neck on the glass. So then we cut to Miles gets home and he answers the phone, and Reichel laughs on the call, and that's when Miles sees Elaine's head in the aquarium and her body and a knife on the floor. So it's like, oh Jesus. So this was the scene that was added in that the producers wanted, that the original director did not want to do.
Like you said, it's only scene from the only thing that connects me to this movie, before watching it, was like I remember hearing about this scene, but I don't remember what movie it was in.
Yeah,
because aren't her eyes staring at him? Kind of. They did a weird, or maybe that's another one. I don't know. It's just weird. You see her head in this half full.
Well, it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't seem like a movie that needs this or would do this. So,
yeah,
because there hasn't been a murder this entire time. This is the first murder in the movie, so.
But it establishes that this is a dangerous, sadistic man.
Yeah.
And also, he's just left a corpse in your apartment, which it's like, well, you can't exactly call the police and tell them what's going on.
And Miles gets like, he hangs up and gets back to the phone. He's like ready to call, like, you son of a bitch, I'm gonna kill you. And then it's Julie calling. So he's like, oh hey, yeah, everything's fine. So,
no, not you. No, I was just joking with my buddies. I always tell them I'm gonna kill them.
But he does find the deposit key like on the chess set that Elaine left for him. So like it's like, oh, she did care for him in some respect or something, or however she cared in some capacity.
Get another move on the chessboard.
Yeah. Then Miles has to dispose of the body. So like, he just like grabs like a plastic bag and picks up her head out of the aquarium, and then rolls up her body in a rug. And he's like carrying it downstairs, and then for some reason he like hangs off the ledge of the balcony to like avoid the paper boy putting paper out, just because he just doesn't want to be identified or whatever.
Yeah, he sets the body on the ground in the carpet, so you don't know what it is. It just looks like a rolled up carpet. And the paperboy almost falls over it. In the meantime, we see him like hanging off to the side.
Which I'm like, how's he going to get back up there? And it's like, oh, don't worry about that. He's not.
Yeah, no, he's going to have a big fall.
So yeah, then he ends up just dropping and like hitting a bush. But then like his leg is messed up for the rest of the movie. So he can hobble around on it, but it's not going well. So.
Yeah.
Um, then it's the next day or the morning or a few hours later, and we see like concrete being poured for a new bank. And then Miles just stands by distraught. So like you don't know where he put his body, but it's somewhere where it's now being covered up with cement. So she's going to be a part of the foundation of this new bank. So
it's right next to well, what's his name? Jim. It's right next to Hoffa.
Yeah. Which this is like, yeah, there's some mention of this bank being built because they talk about like the special vault, because like this is going to be like the foundation for the vault that's supposed to be this, you know, huge vault for because this is like another branch of his bank that he works for. So then Miles just comes across Reichel, which I think this is the first time they meet each other, and this is kind of like played off for like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you right now. So,
because Reichel's fully is like in mirth. It's like, oh, well, what have you been doing?
Yeah, he taunts him. Is like, yeah, that's a good place to hide the body. He's like, oh yeah, this is like, he's like, we've always been partners, because like I guess that you got to bring in the movie title somehow or something like that. But Miles tells Reichel if he wants the money, he's gonna have to rob the bank again, and they'll just give it to him. Essentially, I think that's the setup.
Yeah.
Because that's what, yeah. It ends up being a different setup, but yeah, he's forcing him to like. Or did he think he was just going to walk in there and he was going to hand over the money?
No, he was going to have to rob it again.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, it does kind of get weird. No, he tells him to come in disguise.
Okay.
And then he is going to hand him the money.
Okay.
So that was a thing, but he had to come to the bank in disguise.
Okay.
Because that's where the money again was. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Because you figure at this point, it's like our hero is like, well, he's cornered now because this guy can't kill me in public.
Yeah.
So that's why we're having this meeting.
Then we get to Miles gets Julie so he can get the safety deposit box, which she's like, I didn't know he had a safety deposit box, which would be a surprise to her because she's the charge of all this stuff. Which I guess that clues her into like something's off here. So he puts the money in his bag. Then like the moment later, Charles is giving Miles like a talking to because like he didn't change his clothes from last night. Now he's fallen in a bush and, you know, threw away a dead body. It's like he doesn't look good. He's like, what are you doing? It's like, so now it's like, which I thought he was fired at first, but then like, you know, like moments later he just like continues the day of like, all right, it's time to start the bank day. So.
Well, he kind of kisses his boss's ass. He's like, yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. I need to be more serious about sparkle motion or whatever the thing is. And it's like, you're right. I'm going to be more serious starting today.
Miles goes back to talk to Julie. Miles says like he's leaving and asks Julie to go with him, which she's kind of like excited about. Then we cut to Reichel's dressed as a woman,
fairly convincingly too. It's like he's like, oh, okay, he looks like a woman.
You didn't see his chin, you wouldn't know.
No, yeah.
You know, all that working out at that gym, it's really paying off.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man. Can wear a wig and like look like a flight attendant from the 60s.
The bank opens up. Reichel shows up, taunts Miles once more. Miles pulls all the hundreds and like setting off the silent alarm, and then he just says like, "Don't shoot," and backs away. Well, this is also he tells like, he like whispers to him like, "I made it just like yours," and so he plants the robbery note.
Yeah,
like he puts it in the bag, or he shows it to him or something like that. He knows what's going on, but like but he makes it such a thing real quick that like he shoots Miles, then runs off. And then the guard shoots Reichel in the back, and then Reichel kind of like stumbles away, and it's very like dramatic, like almost like stage acting dying going on here.
Well, he stumbles up the down escalator.
Yeah.
So he's doing twice the work. So he's just pumping all the blood out of his body.
And then the guard shoots Reichel again, and Reichel dies saying, he gave me the bank's money, which is like a little joke here because the guard looks at him and is like, well, who else's money do you think he's going to give him yours? So then like, so basically now it's like, well, Miles is, he's scot-free, now has all the money.
But he took one to the chest.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a little moment in between this where his bag is like underneath his counter, and we see Julie kind of kick at it in wonderment. So there's a little thing there. So Miles is being taken off in an ambulance. He kind of like they tells him to wait because I guess he's expecting Julie to come out, and then eventually she does. And then she hops back into the ambulance with him and basically tells him like, I know you stole the money and I want to run away with you or whatever. So it's like,
Julie has found now another opportunity. And once the money's gone, I'm gone.
Yeah. It's kind of this weird like upbeat ending for a movie that you have no expectation of things actually going well for these people, but he basically got away with it. So it's kind of fun, so. So yeah, that is The Silent Partner.
Yes.
Great Canadian thriller comedy movie. I think it is like labeled as comedy on Amazon. So
okay. Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's more of a thriller and a Hitchcockian movie. So.
Yeah, this was definitely a product of a certain time and place. And because what do you call that? Like a clockwork plot, where it's like all the pieces fall together.
Yeah.
And there's not like a lot of loose ends. I mean, the behavior of some of the people is kind of weird, but the actual like story, it all holds together pretty well.
Yeah, I think this is like streaming on Canopy if your library will let you see it.
Yeah.
And then it's like rentable on Amazon. That's like the only two places to see it. Like you can't buy it on Amazon, but it is on DVD, so there is that possibility. But it's a cool little hidden gem out there.
Yeah,
Canadian hidden gem.
It's fun to watch. It's a cool movie. It takes you back to another time and place.
Yeah.
When the world was innocent, there weren't cameras.
In Carter's Canada.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter's Canada. Which I don't know who the prime minister was then. So that works.
Well, we're sitting here Pro in the States Canada, a supercut of scenes from the Imperfect Collection. That is the Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what one scene from this movie are we shoving into space?
I would want to see the one where he's looking at all the mall Santas, just for the weird juxtaposition of it's Christmas, Santa's at the mall, and he's looking for a potential bank robber. Not because he's trying to stop a crime, but because he wants to perpetrate a crime.
Yeah.
And Santa will help him do it. Santa will be his silent partner.
You think that's a better title, or you think they should have kept with
Think of a number?
Think of a number.
No, the silent partner is a better title.
Okay, all right. It feels like there'd be more movies called The Silent Partner, but there really isn't.
Yeah. It's that's a business term too.
Okay, all right.
Because I know there was a few opportunities have come into my life at certain points, and it's always like, well, I don't want to run a business. It's like, well, I just need money. You could be a silent partner. What does that mean? It's like 20%, but you don't have any say. And it's like, oh, okay, what if it becomes 0? It's like, well, you didn't have any say, but it's you still you put up you get a stake for how much money you put up.
Yeah.
So never done it, but yeah, it's a business term also.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny.
Well, you can find us a Letterboxd, username VHE, 1 out of 5 stars. What are we giving The Silent Partner?
Oh, we'll give The Silent Partner 5 stars for being good at what it is.
It's a good genre movie.
Yeah, it's not like this isn't The Godfather or anything, but it is a fun, like late 70s, early 80s kind of comedy movie.
Yeah.
It makes you realize what was possible in North America before the birth of the surveillance state.
I mean, they do have a video camera that in there, and it gets used, but like.
Yeah, but the guy knows exactly when it starts, and so he knows how to do it. I mean, yeah, they can be your friends, but when they're just running constantly.
But yeah, once you leave that the bank, there is no more surveillance.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you can get rid of bodies and stuff. There's no cell phone saying where you are.
Well, you can find our podcast at verhoeveneffect.com. There we have listener support. You can support us at monthly site matter 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99. Cancel anytime. You can rate our podcast on our platform of choice. Really, you can rate us every once. The only thing the algorithm listens to the highest rating. So remember, give us the highest rating. We need to confuse the algorithm. Control the algorithm. It's out of control.
Yes.
You need to feed it bad data, which that means giving us good ratings.
Yeah. Feed it the opposite of accepted reality and see where life takes you.
You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory and watch both this and that show live and unedited. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Colin.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.